What's up YouTube, Mystayre here. As you can see from hands and along here, we are back for deck profile. This one is a bit different to the usual ones, because this is the one I actually took to BRO in the NA region. And the deck I took was Kairi. So mine is actually going to be different to other Kairi lists, more for the fact of I went for a few different tech options based on the matchups I was expecting. But let's go through all the cards and see where I went. And where better to start than the starter, and we went for Mion. So basic starter skill of when a unit is rolled upon, if you went second, you draw a card. That's never going to change. Next card up is the grade 1 in Astesice Nanami. So I get this in the heel mucked up, so I had to double check. So Nanami's got the skill of when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, you can choose a grade 1 or lower from your drop zone. Call it a rearguard as rest. So basically, you're turning your discard for your ride into an actual +1, because you're generating that unit on the board, which then also works off with other combos for the fact of you can bounce it back to hand, you can utilize its skills. There is so much you can actually do with it. It's really interesting. And then the second skill is when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, it gains 2k. So it does actually come up because you can actually move them out of the soul. So we'll explain that more when we get to it though. And then we've got Astesice Kairi. Now Kairi's got the two skills. First one being when this unit attacks on the Vanguard Circle, you can choose one of your rearguards and bounce it back to your hand. So obviously it combos off nicely with Nanami's skill. And you're turning the +1 generated from this and bouncing it back to hand again. So if it was something you didn't actually want, you can then rediscard it again for the grade 3 ride line. Or you can utilise this to actually bounce something else that you've called that turn. Like say for example you've called a Melty. You can swing with this, bounce the Melty. All in all, really nice card. Second skill, however, before I forget, is on rearguard circle, when this unit is boosted, it gains +5k. So this does actually come up because you can call it out. Again, as I said, from soul, from drop. Not so much from drop, but you can call it from soul and then bounce it back to hand and call it back down again, and you're always going to get that swing. So it does actually come up quite a bit. And then the final card in the ride line is Astesice Kairi. So Kairi is the boss unit of the deck. She's got two skills. First one being when she attacks, you can Soul Blast 1, and then you can bounce 2 of your rearguards back to your hand. And then her second skill is when she's Persona Road. At the end of the battle that she attacked, you can choose 2 cards from your hand and call them to separate rows. So front row, back row. It can be like this. It can be like this. It can be like this. But it just can't be this or this. So, all in all, she's a really nice boss. Yes, she does. Her main skill is locked behind Persona Right. But it's still very nice to have in the deck. The Soul Blast 1 to bounce 2 means you can actually commit a bit of that early aggro and then bounce it back to your hand to safety to protect the rearguards from the likes of Gravidia, Baramagnus. All in all, makes a really nice boss. Moving on to the grade 4s and grade 3s. Oops, got a sleeve there. Apologies for the mess on the desk, I'm still in the middle of sorting stuff. As you can see, I'm also testing set 3 lyricals. So the first one up is our 4 copies of Astesice X Live Kairi. This is our grade 4 unit. She's got 2 skills. First one being when she attacks, you can bounce 2 of your rearguards back to your hand and then call 2 cards from your hand to rearguard circle. So it enables 5 attacks in the deck because she's not locked to having to be separate rows. And then she's got the additional skill of continuous any rearguard placed that turn gains power +5000. So the bouncing skill, you do need to have a Kairi card in your soul. So obviously if you lose this and you've got just this on your Vanguard, you don't gain that bounce skill. So you do have to be wary for the prison matchup. But a grade 4 triple drive for the deck, really solid. And 5 attack enabling is really good. Then moving on to the grade 3s, I do run 1 copy of the Astesice Kairi. I want this as pretty much a 5th grade 4 per se, because having this means that if I don't hit my grade 4, I can still Persona Ride and gain access to still doing stuff on the turn 4 plays. I know some people do cut it because they don't prefer it, but I like that extra little bit of consistency to the deck. Talking of consistency, I run 2 copies of Bashful Striver Kinky. Kinky's got the skill of, when she's placed on rearguard circle, you can choose a grade 2 or below Astesice normal unit from your drop zone and call it to rearguard circle. Drop zone and put it into your soul, sorry. Then you may count +1 and she gets power plus 10,000 until end of turn. So she helps you manipulate your soul a lot better, which is really nice. I did use this last night in testing versus Docs, and I literally got to control the entire prison game for the fact of I was calling these down, putting the Astesice into soul. These then went to prison. I then used, on my turn, used the prison, paid the soul blast of the 2 Astesice, put these back down again, and then these put the 2 soul back into soul again. So it does generate a nice bit of recursion, helps you very much in the prison matchup. Plus the 10k power does actually come up sometimes, because obviously her combined with Astesice X Live Kairi on her own is a 28k beta. So it does come up quite nicely. And the last grade 3 I run is a little tech choice of my own here in Lovable Dress Leisure. Now Leisure's got the skill of, at the end of battle this unit attacked, you can count +1 and put this unit on the bottom of your deck. You then draw a card, choose one of your units with Ernest correct in its card name and gets 5k to land us up. So obviously we ignore the Ernest correct part, but she's in the deck for the fact of I can attack with her, count +1, slide her on the bottom of the deck, and draw a card. So I'm turning a grade 3 non-shield in my deck into a potential shield card. I'm also getting an attack off as well, and emptying my board for the Gravidia matchups. So obviously the turn 3 play, I'm bouncing 2 with Kairi, this slides itself off the board, you've left 3 empty circles, so at most you'll have is 2, which then means the burritos aren't gaining their criticals. Plus the ability to cycle this for shield power does help, because obviously you do want to tank as many hits as you can. So having it overall was really nice for me. Then grade 2s, I do run a very small amount of grade 2s. But the first one we run is the ever popular Hopping Stellar Melty. Melty's got the skill of, well, the first one's our friend ability, but this does not matter in this deck. The second one, however, is the one that she's important for, in when she's placed on rearguard circle from your hand during your main phase, you can count +1, choose a card from your hand, this grade is equal to or less than your Vanguard, and call it to rearguard circle. And then if you call a card, you draw a card. So, nice, simple, count +1, draw a card pretty much. But you can also then bounce this in your battle phase. Due to the fact of you've got Live Kairi, Astesice Kairi, Kiura, these all bounce. So, very much a amazing card, and is going to be the cause of what gets Kairi hit on the list at this rate. The other grade 3 I run is another tech choice of my own, and that is Distinctive World Sense Floor. So Floor's got the skill of, when this unit is placed from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a non-grade 2, you can call it to rearguard circle. Obviously, if it's a grade 2, it then goes to the bottom of your deck. So this is half the reason why we're only running minimal grade 2s in the deck. But the fact of you can also utilise this as extra attack extenders. If, say, for example, you have to Persona Ride, and you can only call one front row, one back row. You can call her in the front row, and then use her skill to fill the other front row slot. So you're actually getting more attacks out of it and turning the Persona Ride into a 5 attack turn. All in all, this is also really good for the Gravidia matchup as well, because you're calling this down, but then getting another card off of it as well. So say you've been board nuked, you're turning one card into 2 cards on board to actually apply a bit more pressure. She is only a 6k base, so obviously you do normally need a booster behind her. But the ability, the fact that she can actually get her own booster is also very good. Moving on to grade 1s. We do run 4 Perfect Guards. I finally have my matching playset of the Nicolines. So I did swap the Justine out for a Nicoline. But basics Perfect Guard skill. When placed on Guardian Circle, if you've got one or less cards in hand, you don't have to discard, and it blocks the attack. Still going to be a long time staple, and it's going nowhere. I shall pop them up here, because I've got space to fill. We're then moving on to the next grade 1, and that is Beware of Overeating Eileen. So Eileen's got the skill of, when this unit boosts a rearguard, you may look at the top card of your deck and then choose to place it either on top or bottom of the deck. So this is really good for digging for those extra combo pieces, digging for your triggers. Obviously your opponent doesn't get to see what you leave on top of your deck. So sometimes I did do a checking top card and it might have been a grade 4 Kairi and I needed a grade 4 Kairi, so I left it on top for the actual threat of, am I going to be hitting a trigger on my Vanguard check? My opponent's not going to know, so it does create mind games, which is really nice. All in all, really good card and going to be a long time staple for Kairi. Then the other grade 1 I run is 4 copies of Next Stage La Plume. Now La Plume's got the skill of, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you can choose an Astesice, grade 2 or lower normal Astesice unit from your soul and call it to rearguard circle at rest. But if she's called in the battle phase, you actually get to call it stand instead. So ideally, this is what I'd like to discard off my first ride up. So I'm using, on my grade 0, I'm discarding La Plume to ride into Nanami. Nanami calls this. Her effect then activates. She then calls out the starter. So creating extra board presence from the get-go. You can also utilise this on grade 4 turns and the Persona Ride grade 3 Kairi turns. Let's say for example you've used Leisure and got an extra empty circle. So you can then call this in the back row, use her skill to call either Nanami or Kiura from your soul to rearguard circle, and is then making a column, because obviously this plus the Kiura's 18, plus Kiura's plus 5k makes 23. If this was a Aces X live turn, you're 33. So you get really big numbers really fast. All in all, really nice card. Might cut it down with the new Lyrical 3 stuff, but obviously I'm still testing that. But she's still a very good staple for now. Then for the triggers, we have 4 heals, because running 4 heals is needed. This is where things get weird, is the best response. I run 5 criticals, 1 vanilla, and 3 of the effect criticals. So the effect criticals got the skill of, end of the battle, this unit boosted, you can just put it into your soul, choose one of your rearguards, gets power plus 2000. So obviously the 2000 does actually help in this deck, because you can give the 2000s to like La Plume or Eileen to become 10k boosters, which then works nicely with our Legions and our Kinkies, because that makes 23k columns. Also, the other reason this is really good is the fact of it generates soul. So like with I was saying last night about testing last night with Docs with the Kinkies, when I was playing the prison, the 2 cards he kept sealing for my soul every turn for the Seraph Pure Lights was my Edgewides, because I can then call these back out from prison. End of the battle, they're boosting. They're then going back into soul again for him to then take back off to the prison again. It's a really nice card. Very much helps in the matchups. If you're not thinking, well, there's 5 crits there, is everything else draws? And the honest response is no. I do run 3 front triggers. Now, front triggers got the skill of, if your opponent's grade 3 or greater Vanguard, gain shield plus 5k. Nice and simple. The reason I'm running fronts is because it still applies a lot of pressure in the Kairi deck. Because obviously, with grade 4 Kairi, you're bouncing and recalling your entire front row. So when your Vanguard's attacking, you can give 10k to 3 units, which puts a lot more pressure on. But the extra shield alone is the main reason I run the card, because 20k shields are really good in this format. And then to round it out, obviously, we're running 3 draw triggers. Now, the reason I'm running the draw triggers is because skill obviously says, like with the front, you're gaining 5k shield out of it. So these are 10k shield cards. Really good. Really good for the format, because obviously we don't have 10k shields outside the draws. But you've also got to think your combo piece reliant, because you really want to hit your Melties as quickly as possible. You want to hit your Kairis as quickly as possible. So having the extra bit of draw power that you can in the deck really does help. So 3 of them. So obviously 4 heals, 5 crits, 3 fronts, 3 draws, and the last card being the overtrigger. So obviously the lyrical overtrigger does the skill of when it's checked offensively. For the rest of the game, you get the skill of all of your rear guards gain power plus 10,000. So you need to run overtrigger in the format. So we go for this one over the Crayomus one, because this one applies a lot more pressure in the deck. Especially when you're a multi-attacking deck and bouncing multiple rear guards turn, calling them all down, you're getting 5 attacks, all having that 10k power to the front row, 10k to the boosters when they're boosting. It does apply a lot of pressure. But that is it for this Kairi deck. So the obvious question I know I'm going to get asked is, why not the Friends package? And I don't like the Friends package for the fact that it actually becomes more piece reliant. Because to fully utilise the grade 2 rare that says plus 2k for each of your Friends units, you then need to have her, Melty, and the grade 1 all on the board. And if you're then leaving Melty on the board, you're opening them up to attack it to not actually be able to protect it for the next turn to play it down again. So not going for the Friends pack and going for a more pure version makes me less piece reliant and gives me more potential with the deck. But that is going to be it for this video. If you haven't done so already, please do like, comment, subscribe. It very much does help the channel. I will be doing Friday the start of the Lyrical 3 deck reviews. We are going to be doing a bit differently this time. I'm going to split it up into 3 and actually properly dive into the stuff, because obviously it's lots of new lines. I want to give proper explanations for the new stuff. So might as well go from there. And I'll catch you guys in that video. Bye bye!